and welcome to episode 6 of
How Have You Not Seen?
I'm Hayley.
And I'm Andy. How are you?
I'm very good, how are you?
Yeah, really good. The sun is shining in Manchester.
You've not burnt?
I've not burnt, which is a real change.
It's literally like, I think, the first sunny day you've not burnt in like 10 years.
Accurate. Well, it's a lovely sunny day, so what film are we going to watch?
Let's go and watch the upbeat comedy of A Clockwork Orange.
I've not seen A Clockwork Orange.
So
I imagine you're being sarcastic.
It is the 1971 Stanley Kubrick classic.
Okay. We're going to the Kubrick exhibition at the Design Gallery.
Yeah, so we're going there in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, a month's time.
Yeah, a month's time. So that sort of spurred us on to, we're going to watch a few Kubrick ones.
I've only seen The Shining.
Yes, so we won't be doing The Shining, sadly.
I've seen it. But it would just help me certainly enjoy the exhibition a bit more, which I'm looking forward to, regardless of whether I've seen his films or not.
Well, there's a lot of things that you'll know, but if we can watch as many of them as we can before we go. I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we might do a few extra Stanley Kubrick pods.
It's Kubrick season.
It's Kubrick season, yo!
Oh, wow, okay. Sure.
I went there. I went for it.
So this one is probably of the films we've done so far, this is the one I know least about.
Yeah.
I literally know nothing
I know
about this film. I understand from people just in the last week saying it's an horrific film, and you've told me that it's not. Well, the fact that we're joking about it being sunny and we're watching this is going to be, I believe, a bit sort of harrowing. I'm looking forward to it though.
I'm looking forward to it because I've seen this film not many times, maybe 4 times, but I've not seen it for 15 years.
Right.
I really liked it like's the wrong word. It impacted quite greatly on me when I watched it.
Okay.
As a teenager.
God.
I know. Not in any I'm not going to do any ultraviolence, but you will see it's a cinematic.
Right.
Piece. It's Kubrick.
There's something in my mind.
Yes.
From when I was younger, of being aware of this film, but maybe it being sort of pornographic, maybe in nature.
Bit of the old in out.
I guess that's a reference. Either that, or you're just talking like a disgusting 5-year-old, a child. I honestly don't know what it's about. Mm-hmm. I only know the image of Malcolm McDowell, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
The sort of iconic image of him.
With the big one eyelash.
Yeah. Other than that, completely anything could happen in this.
Wow, that's really.
I don't know anything about the story. Literally not like.
Do you know any scenes? Have you got no scenes to come to
nothing.
mind? You were in for a treat.
I'm fully expecting to be speechless come the second part of this podcast.
Come back and Andy's had a breakdown.
Quite possibly. I'm on the edge anyway, so no, I'm looking forward to it. I really want to enjoy it, and like you've just said there, maybe enjoy is not the right word.
You'll come out of it feeling. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You can interpret it however you want. Yeah. Hopefully, we won't have another Rocky situation. We may have another Rocky situation.
Quite well. If this film,
go listen to the Rocky podcast if you want to know what I mean on that.
If by that you mean I will have no connection to any of the characters, then it might happen. I'd imagine not. From context, I think this is going to evoke quite a lot of emotion. Mm-hmm. Unlike Rocky. But that's just me.
I hate that, but I love
don't
that
hate
film.
it. I didn't enjoy it.
We will be watching more of them.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go watch the film.
Yes.
Because I'm really excited to watch it.
And it's quite a long film, so we're watching the film, doing the pod, and then editing it all tonight. So we're gonna have to go start it now.
Well, it's beautiful and sunny, so I think it's a good time to start it.
Should I get the popcorn?
You get the popcorn, I'll get the film. And we'll see you again in 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Yes.
Here's the trailer.
Bye.
Bye.
I like to video the old films now and again.
Not an easily quotable film.
And that was definitely the worst accent I've done it in.
I don't know about that.
We've just finished it. It's A Clockwork Orange, 1971 classic Stanley Kubrick film. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yay.
And you know what? It was nothing like I expected.
No.
And I said before that I had no real understanding of what it was going to be. What I thought it would be, nothing like that.
Yeah. Were you expecting just literally just violence, rape, no story?
Well, from the
fast cuts and
Yeah.
art housey and
yeah, to be honest, the first act certainly, and that's one of the first things I've written down was I can see why this got banned.
well, it didn't get banned.
Oh,
Not
well,
to-
okay.
No, well, yeah, sorry to straight away. It didn't get banned as such. Stanley Kubrick actually pulled it from distribution in 73.
Right.
I'll get into why later, but he said no one's seen
Wow.
this film.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years after it was released.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, scrap that then. But the first act was that. Okay.
There was massive protest and
Yeah.
controversy, and like his house got picketed, and people
Really?
didn't want it. Didn't
Well,
like
the first act, I can totally see why it would be controversial.
But it's literally the first, within 10 minutes,
Yeah.
you've seen one woman
Almost.
almost
Yeah.
raped, big dramatic fight scene, like theatrical style fight scene, and then woman does get raped.
Yeah.
Husband gets brutally attacked, and 10
Yeah.
minutes in.
So 10 minutes in, and at that point, yeah, like you said about the non-stop violence sort of thing, it reminded me at that point of Natural Born Killers. To a point, with the car, with the terrible green screen background,
Yeah.
and it was quite like that, which I didn't particularly enjoy that film.
I think that, Natural Born Killers it took
for
a
sure.
lot of things from this. I don't think I think a lot of people loved Natural Born Killers. I enjoyed it. I think I got a bit more out of it than you did,
Yeah.
but it's not one of my favourite films by any
No.
standards. I think it's quite overrated, hyped. This, however,
Yeah, well,
This
this evolves from it. This starts off with the extreme violence and the extreme actions. Let's call them actions, yeah, and really quite brutally shot as well. I thought a really, really good job. I mean, or bad job as in terms of the people that didn't like it at the time. A really good job of capturing
you're in it.
the aggression, and you can imagine that being done in one take.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was, but like when the woman and the man in the house, when they're wrapping sellotape around their heads, and it's all very aggressive, it's all very in the moment, and the way the whole film was shot, I absolutely loved. And yeah, as
Changing in pace and
really, really good, yeah, because the opening few scenes where you had the zooming camera or the lens sort of widening out to see, so it was drawing you in.
him staring straight down the barrel. And
Well, that was the first. So that was the image that I had, and that was literally the first scene.
Yeah. Well, you found that, haven't you? Quite a few of these
Yeah.
films that we've seen, that the thing that you know from them, from pop culture, is within the first 15 minutes
Yeah.
of things. And I don't know if that's maybe lazy pop culture things that people have just literally just watched the first thing of, I'll take that.
Or the trailer,
from it.
maybe.
The trailer, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, him tipping the glass slightly, and he's almost like, cheers to the audience. Malcolm McDowell, who plays Alex, has quoted as saying that the reason why he did that is that he wanted to do a little literal nod to the audience that, like, buckle up, guys.
Right. Well,
You're on board with me.
Later on, the breaking of the fourth wall via narration, whether that's a fourth wall, if it's sound, I'm not sure, but
I don't know
Sure.
myself. Yeah, we'll go for that. He's
the
talking
breaking of that, and I to be honest, I saw you write down your notes about it being potentially viewed as a comedy. Now, this had so many elements of a dark comedy. black comedy. I mean, a couple of the scenes that we'll get into in a bit were straight up comedy.
Well, the crew, the actors in it, performed it. They acted it as if they were in a dark comedy. They viewed it that it was a dark comedy. That I think that it is a satirical piece. So as much as things like nowadays, like Black Mirror and things like that, that there is elements of comedy to these dystopian, horrific acts that are happening. I think there's just a basic human level of finding the humour in horrific things. Like when people laugh when they find out someone's died or something, it's sort of like a built-in reaction. It's definitely, there's some proper bits in it, and especially, I mean, Malcolm McDowell is so charismatic an actor that he's so charming with it.
I didn't know he was going to be English.
Didn't I?
Genuinely expected it to be American.
Well, this Kubrick films, this is, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the only one that is actually...
Well, just from The Shining, I assumed...
The original book was written by a Manchester writer, Anthony Burgess.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's set in England. He's English. He's a Manc. Lived in London. So it's very much an English piece. And Kubrick from Manhattan really liked the English and the Nadstat rather, which is the language that he created in the book.
Right.
Kubrick loved that, and he was like, no, that only works because it is a cross between Cockney rhyming and Russian slang.
Right, okay.
That Burgess created. And funny little side thing, in the first edition of it, it just had the book, and there were so many like complaints to the publishers of like, we have no idea what they're saying. In the second print of it, they printed a glossary in it.
Nice.
And when I read the book, you're constantly going and looking up the words, like, what the hell? Because you can kind of, some things you can get it from context.
Yeah, sure.
But other things, or especially at the start when it's just people talking, you're like, I don't know what that means, and yeah.
Well, the post-apocalyptic element of it was good, and it was sort of unnerving. You didn't really know when it was, what had happened, because that wasn't meant to be a fully function,
I believe so. It's a dystopian future, not too far in the future. Yeah, you don't know what has happened, but it's some sort of society breakdown, communists to sort of taken over.
It's nice to see a sneak peek of post-Brexit Britain.
Yeah.
Look forward to that one.
It's coming. Yay.
But yeah, if you took out the sort of gratuitous violence and the nudity, if you took that out and if you filmed it a slightly different way, then this film is just a really good. It stands up, as a story. It is absolutely great.
It's a solid story.
Really, yeah, exactly.
It's solid, yeah.
I'm not saying the violence and the nudity wasn't required. Mm-hmm. Because obviously he needed that to get into how he had acted initially, but
I don't think it's gratuitous.
No.
I think you need to know how evil this character is.
Yeah, because otherwise you could totally. I mean, how charismatic he is, like you said, you could definitely just believe his story, believe his lie.
Yeah. Well, when he says I accidentally murdered someone who was in the prison. I love the prison guard in it.
Oh,
brutally raped and murdered someone. It's like,
well, this is why I think it's a comedy. Certainly in parts. Certainly, maybe the second act is quite comedic. That prison guard.
He's straight out of Porridge.
Yeah, well, he's Mackay from Porridge. That's what I wrote down. Is he's that character is Mackay from Porridge.
Even with the little lip. Sort of, little lip twirls and things.
Everything about him. They could have lifted that actor out and put him in Porridge. Mm-hmm. And that scene where he's checking into prison, whatever you want to call it, is so good.
Yeah.
Because it's all the little subtle things and well, the not so subtle things as well.
Pick up that chocolate bar and put it back down.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that when he's getting moved from prison into the treatment centre, the rehab centre, the idea that they've shot and kept this in the scene where he's signing the papers, which is like a minute longer.
God, yeah. The every scene in this, you I think there's I can't think we were talking about it between ourselves, not on recording, about that you should enter an established scene.
Yes, you arrive late, leave early.
Yes, for script writing. This doesn't do that.
This is great. I loved it. I loved that.
When he's walking up to so that scene you were saying about when he's handing him over to the hospital facility from the prison, you see them arrive outside the building. They go in. They sign 3 signatures and needed.
Oh, the 3 signatures.
Tearing off the paper, clip it on. It's fully set for a film that does so well at doing little subtleties that this is not set in reality, with the purple hair and you were saying with the car with the really fake background. That was all intentional to make you feel that there's something off,
and with all the classical music as well.
And the language, everything about it is to make you feel this is very familiar but also very unfamiliar. And I think that as well, that you're following this character. There's no cuts. It's long, wide shots of him doing everything. Even in like the rape scenes or the attack scenes, you see him tie them up. You see him kicking them through the whole length of the song. You see him cutting her dress off her, all in real time. And I think that makes it more impactful that
for sure
that you're watching it, that because I think he says something about when he's watching the videos, and he's like about the blood and about that it's strange how it seems more realistic when you see it on film, and you're watching it seems so realistic but also not, because it's a film and it's so obviously a film, and so obviously unrealistic in parts with the car, like I was saying, with the car and the hair and how people talk to each other, and I love it. As you can probably tell, I'm like, I love this.
No, and we'll get onto this at the end, but I can see why it's a classic.
Yeah.
I was worried going in that.
Do you think it was a bit of like notoriety, that it was actually just going to be sort of, it's been banned, so...
Maybe. I think, because I've been aware of this since I was a teenager. I've never watched it, like I've never watched all these great films. From my perception of it, this is a much better film than I thought it would be.
That makes me very happy.
Good. No, honestly, I would watch it again tomorrow. Genuinely, I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was the way it was shot was good. The story was good. The way the ending sort of mirrored the third act mirrored the first act.
Oh, there's lots of
literally mirrored
foreshadowing
it in some ways.
Yeah, the mirrors are really important.
They love mirrors in these films, don't they? We've had a lot of mirrors. Just those. I guess we take it for granted sometimes with the really great films, but the way it was shot, I thought was absolutely fantastic. The use of the camera, the use of the long shots, and what they chose to show you as well was really good.
Yeah.
I say what Kubrick chose to show you.
Yeah, because he's very famous for being incredibly controlling over everything he does, and I think that it shows in his work.
That's why you don't want it's what is it? A camel is a horse designed by committee.
Nice, yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
You want someone with it, and that's why I'm gonna go into the Star Wars rant and stuff like that, and that's why
the latter ones.
It's not someone's vision. A great film is someone's vision executed. It's not a 10-man writing team. It's not a big corporation dictating what you can and can't do. It's one person, like Hitchcock.
Yeah.
One person taking control of the process, and having the determination to follow that through.
Get Out, modern day.
With Jordan Peele, for sure. Is that sort of he had that story, that concept, and he saw it through.
Yeah.
You know, how many great films would have been missed from film studios making changes, editing things. Even more recently, you look at even stupid stuff like superhero films, where you've got someone's idea of what it should be, and Disney or Warner Brothers or whoever it may be changes the story, and it's completely got. No, I mean, it happened with Dark. I've not seen Dark Phoenix yet, but I've read about it. They changed the ending because it was too similar to Captain Marvel.
Wow.
And they just, for want of a better phrase, tossed off a new ending. Because and that's the whole point. It's not a coherent thought.
Yeah.
It's not someone or a group of people coming up with this idea and following through.
That's not saying that, because on with Kubrick, what he's very well known for is that he does lots of takes. Right. He does long takes, dozens and dozens of times.
So when I said I thought that would have been done in one take, that actually would have been repeated.
Yeah, so it would have been one take.
For sure. And that's in what we saw.
Continuous, yeah. But he was famous for doing days and days. Well, that rape scene took 4 days.
Wow. Okay.
4 days to film, and they got this on the 4th day. So they'd done 3 days, and it just wasn't working. And Kubrick said to Malcolm McDowell, something's not working right. We need to think, because even though he was very controlling to the point over the vision, he took on board the actors' notes, and he liked to completely immerse the actors in the character. So he would ask the actors, what do you think they would do, and let them have quite a lot of free rein. And that was why he did also the multiple takes of things, because
you learn the scene.
Yeah, well, he did say that, like, he's not an actor. That's why he gets actors in to do it, because they have the skills. So it was actually Malcolm that came up with the thing. Kubrick asked him, said, "Can you dance?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can dance a bit. I can throw some shapes," as you would.
Is that like an audition thing? Can you ride a horse?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
I can do that. Yeah.
Can you speak Russian? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And he said that he just do, and just it was a improvised thing, and he just did that take, and like he did the dance and incorporated it, and the other actors in the scene went with him.
Yeah.
And they said within an hour of filming it, he'd got the rights. He'd bought the rights to have Singin' in the Rain in it for $10,000.
I will never hear that song in the same way.
Well, Gene Kelly, who's Singin' in the Rain, famous, his version at the end of the film, it's him singing at the end of the film. Years after this was done, he apparently saw Malcolm at a party, saw him, shook his head.
I imagine he wasn't
and
impressed.
Left because he was completely disgusted with how his legacy had been tainted, basically, by this scene.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
Yeah, that's
fair.
But
it was brilliant though.
Oh, it's
really good. It really got across the character.
Yeah, it's a fantastic scene. But I think that you were saying that it felt like that was done almost spontaneous. I think that you kind of need the rehearsals and the many takes to hone the little bit sort of episodes of just genius, essentially, and just ignite on the spur of the moment from going something out and having it that it's become part of them as actors, and just like, oh, just do this, just do
yeah, well,
else.
It's like in a lot of shows, like, you know, Curb Your Enthusiasm, for example, where it's 90% improv. they'll do so many takes
Yeah.
because one of those takes is going to be gold.
Yes, exactly.
And it's a similar thing to that.
Yeah.
I've got to question how many bodysuits that woman would have had to wear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the costume budget was...
Yeah, massive.
That's why they're all naked all the time.
Did she not wear any underwear?
I think it was evening. She's comfies.
Oh, she's in her comfies.
She's in her comfies and her high heels.
I'll let her off then.
One thing that I do really like that you're saying about the how it was shot. So this had a very low budget and quite a fast run time. It was a $2 million budget, and the shoot time was from September to April.
Right.
So that's 6 months roughly. Which is very, very short from script writing to post done. 6 months, really, really quick, and also incredibly quick for Kubrick. Like 2001, Space Odyssey, that came out a couple of years prior to this. Massively ran over budget, massively ran over schedule. Was just snowballed.
Was this then a counter to that? Then this was intentionally because of that.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't want to do another, and he'd done Spartacus and things. So it was. He'd done these epics. He wanted.
Well, Spartacus is 3.5 hours long or something.
Oh,
and that's why I've not seen it, and I will not watch it.
Oh, Spartacus is a brilliant film.
I understand.
Really
I'm not watching it.
Well, there's throwbacks to Spartacus in this, when he's throwbacks to lots of his films.
With the Roman
right. thing, and you clocked because you did me a little thing. Yeah, when he's picking up the ice cream lolly ladies in the record score. It's got 2001: Space Odyssey
right in the front there.
Yeah.
That was a great scene, by the way. Not to derail you, the threesome scene.
Oh, yeah.
Really, just so smartly done.
So it was shot over half an hour. It took half an hour to film that, and it was two frames a second, which for people that don't know about it, you normally shoot 24 frames a second with standard film, and your eyes fill in the rest. So with stop motion and things, you have to take 24. So this was 2 frames a second, half an hour to get the 40 seconds of footage on the screen. And apparently, that scene did actually piss off Kubrick when they were doing it. Not massively, but it annoyed him.
Okay.
Because he had no control over it. They just literally had to say go, and they couldn't move the camera, and they couldn't cut. It was a thing.
Was it those 3 actors?
Yeah, they were doing it.
It was them, yeah.
Yeah. So halfway through, they've done that. They've got into the room, stripped off, done the old in out, and then one of the actors gets up, gets dressed, and then Alex gets up, takes clothes off, and throws her back, takes her back to the bed, like in a playful sort of back to the bed.
Yeah.
And then the other one gets up and he puts clothes back on, and then he does it again, strips them off and puts them back. He wasn't meant to strip them off again. When she stood up and got dressed, that was meant to be the end of the shot. But apparently, Alex was and the actor was having so much fun doing it. He just was like, nope.
No, back in.
Back in, literally.
He's a smart guy. I get paid for this.
Exactly, yeah. Little side note, Kubrick did actually dock him when they were doing, because this was one of the first productions to have radio mics, so it didn't need post syncing.
Yeah.
But there was a few extra things that had to be done at the end, and it was like 2 weeks of post recording done. And McDowell was there in the studio for 2 weeks, but in between takes he wanted to stretch his legs, so he played ping pong with Stanley Kubrick. When he got his paycheck through after the 2 weeks, he only got paid for 1 week, and he was like, hey, I did 2 weeks, and he says, well, you recorded for 2 weeks and we paid ping pong for half that time, so you only actually worked for 1 week, and the rest of the time we were just hanging out, so we didn't pay him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know, yeah. You'd be so pissed off as a freelancer, like, but I've been here for 2 weeks.
Did McDowell beat Kubrick then?
Presumably.
That sounds like sour
yes,
grapes.
Yeah, no. So he did, actually, yeah, he did. But he never beat him at chess. He also liked to play chess.
Okay.
But Kubrick was a really good chess player. He played chess for months and months and months in downtime on 2001. So we couldn't beat him on chess, but he could beat him on ping pong.
Ping pong. The thinking man's chess.
I love ping pong.
You're not very good at it, though.
I'm not very good at it. I get very competitive very quickly. Just smashing them around.
Too easy.
Yeah. I want to tell you about the technical side of it that I brought up like 10 minutes ago. And
Yes,
then went off on tangents.
I apologise.
Oh no, I went off on the other tangents as well.
Continue.
How it was shot with a low budget and things like that. So they got quite clever with it. They used wheelchairs as dollies, a lot of handheld camera action, and they also used a very wide aperture on the lens, at a focal point of 0.95, which I am not a camera specialist, but I believe that basically lets loads and loads of light in, which means that you can shoot with natural light to very late in the day.
Oh, fantastic.
So this was shot massively on locations. There was only 3 sets made for the whole thing. Everything else was shot on location using natural light.
That's impressive.
So even like the night shots were 90% natural light.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's and I think that adds to the feeling of the realistic thing.
Yeah.
You're there with them.
Yeah.
But the sets that they did make, they did the Milkbar was a set.
Can I guess?
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
His room?
Yes.
Okay.
And one more.
So the prison's not going to be... Oh, you looked at me. Oh no. His prison... No.
You've already mentioned the scene.
I've already mentioned the scene. Oh, this is going to be bad podcast. If I'm just thinking of this. I've already mentioned the scene. Go on, tell me.
The chocolate bar scene. So when he's stripping off.
Oh, so it was the check-in.
Yeah, the check-in thing. That was the set. But everything else was real prison. The hospital, where they did the Ludoviki, the aversion therapy. That is a university in West London.
Lovely.
Yeah, I just did it there.
Where they did the eye clamps.
You have a thing about eyes.
I have extremely sensitive eyes from a decade and a half of wearing contact lenses, and that was the one bit I couldn't. I mean, that's bad, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one bit that I was like, oh no, this is too much. This is too much, Stanley.
My eyes. But it was a real doctor though, because that actually.
Well, I was going to say fair play to Malcolm McDowell for doing that, because that's. I mean, I'm not an actor, obviously, but Jesus, I would walk out.
So it was a real doctor, who had said that this, because it's an actual medical apparatus that they put on him, should be used lying down, and they were like, no, that doesn't work for the shot. He needs to sit up and see the screen. So they sort of tilted him up.
Is that why I had the eye drops all the time?
It's a real doctor that's administering the eye drops, and they also put some anaesthetic in his eyes before he did it.
Yeah. Okay.
So his eyes are numb, and he's having drops, but he did scratch his corneas quite severely.
I've done that before.
And had to postpone. They stopped doing that shoot, and they filmed the close up, when he's screaming, and the close up on his eyes, on the last day of shooting. They let him have a few months rest of his eyes. Your eyes are actually watering.
Yeah. No, I had to wear an eye patch because I had a scratch on my cornea.
Oh.
And I feel the pain.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
But I think that's because that's quite a famous.
Yeah, to be honest,
eyes,
I have.
The eyes wide open.
That was a sort of a. I can't say I've seen it before, but it was definitely something I was aware of.
Did you think that was going to be? Well, here's a torture scene of sorts, but did you think that? Excuse me. Yawning. It's a long film. It's quite late. Did you think that was going to be more of a actual, psychopath torture scene from there?
Maybe. I mean, I was expecting for the last maybe hour. I was expecting a relapse of sorts, or more violence, more.
Well, there was
sexual violence,
just directed towards him rather than.
Which again, the mirroring the old men taking revenge. Thought that was good, but I was expecting. Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting the friends to come back in a bigger way. Obviously, they were the the police now, and that was again, I think, another pointed, what would you call it, satirical take on the police. But the
cautionary tale.
Yeah. I was expecting something else towards the end. I'm kind of glad there wasn't, but I was expecting it.
Well, there is. I will go into that just in a second. But the little Easter egg on it, when they were the police officers, Dim had 665 on his shoulder, on his lapel, a number on his lapel. The other one had 667. When they were dragging him, he was in the middle, and he's kind of implying that he's the Antichrist, basically, that he's 666 in between the two.
That's cool.
There's lots of Catholicism references, and him seeing himself as the stigmata on him, and that he's the Christ, but he's the anti-hero, so maybe he's the Antichrist. Do you know how he views himself in it? So that's a little thing there.
Love it.
But the with you saying about feeling like there should be more, the original book, the publishers were scared of how the book was going to be received, and they actually added in a 21st chapter, a final chapter to it in the book, not in the US version, in the English version of it, and it's at the very end of it. So it's this thing, but Alex is not actually cured by it, and he gets himself a new gang. So he's done all this,
which they alluded to right at the end.
So that he's it's that, and then there's a little tad bit on. So he's not cured. He's got a new gang, and he carries on doing his ultraviolent and general man about town niceness. Badass, yeah.
No, not badass. It's not badass.
He's not badass. He's like a little runt. He's
cowardly.
Horrible, yeah. So he carries on doing that, and then a few years later he meets up, and Pete, who's the other guy, the police officer, has all settled down, has got a family, and Alex decides that he's bored with the mayhem, and he thinks that actually having a family would be more of a challenge. So he settles down, gets married, has kids, and that's how it finishes.
God.
So it's the publishers made them put that in. Depending on who you believe and where you read it, Kubrick did know about it or he didn't know about it. So from what the kind of mostly believed is that he did know about it and chose to ignore that, because he said that he had the US version, which didn't have the extra chapter in, so he didn't know about it. This is a guy that does so much research. He would go to locations and personally take hundreds of photos of locations. He would know that there was an extra chapter, and he's just gone, no, I'm not putting that in.
Rightly so, because that just completely undervalues the whole story. Yeah,
I think the ending, it's that kind of ambiguous endings that actually worked. Yeah, that worked well.
No, I liked it. I liked the end. I was expecting him to relapse, so maybe that was satisfying for me, because, and having him almost die, that sort of gives you maybe a reset. That's presumably the thought process behind
I think
that.
that's yeah. But I do really I really like the whole story of it. I mean, this is of Kubrick's work. He does a lot of adaptations of books and of his own screenplays. This is the one that sticks most closest to the actual original text.
Right.
Like apparently the actors would carry around the actual original book, the novel, around with them on set to take points from how characters will act and different looks and actual quotes from the book. So it was that true to it. He did change a few things. Notably, he did change how Alex is viewed in the actual Anthony Burgess novel. Alex doesn't know the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
And it is a much more cautionary tale of, if you do this, X, Y, and Z will happen.
Right.
And even down to the Mr. Alexander is like holding a mirror literally up to, you know, the guy whose wife he attacked. He's called Mr. Alexander. That him going off and him getting sent to prison for trying to do
to get revenge.
Yeah, revenge. That was, again, look, no, you can't take the law into your own hands because this may happen, and then at the end of the day, the actual villain of it gets away from doing it. So his was a lot more cautious. I mean, not to get too dark from this very upbeat film, he actually wrote that book. His wife was, when he was in the army during World War II, his wife was attacked by 4 deserters, US deserters.
Oh, Christ.
Attacked, raped, beaten, caused her to have miscarriage. She then wasn't able to go on to have children, and a few years later she died from complications.
Oh God, so that's really close.
Yeah.
Close to home.
Yeah, so he wrote this book. Well, he wrote 4 books within 12 months because he found that he had a brain tumour, and the doctor said that you've got a year to live. So he was like, shit, I need to write stuff that's going to make money for my wife, that's going to care for her after I'm gone. So he wrote these books. He was fine. He lived like 25 years after it. He wasn't cancerous, but just to get a sort of sense of where the mindset that this writer was in when he wrote this dystopian future.
Jesus.
And it's like, look what is happening right now. This is what then could go on to happen.
Yeah.
Again, like the Black Mirror thing and I don't think there's any I don't think it was an accident at all that the fact that it was using like Hitler as reference in it, of like, look, this is what can happen. But also, he as a person was a very strict Roman Catholic, and he did believe in like forgive and love thy neighbour and stuff. So
you had that religious element in the second act, didn't you? When they obviously Alex is, whether you believe it or not, finding God.
Yes.
To a degree. You had that in there, didn't you, with the vicar? Yeah,
and I think that he's almost saying that, like, look, you can send these people to prison, but you can't try and then get revenge on them. You have to let them do the time, and then forgive and forget almost.
Yeah.
Which I think that's why he made Mr. Alexander. He got his revenge on him, and then was sent to prison.
Well, actually, he lost everything as a result.
Yeah, so he'd had a shit time of it in the past, so he was really drawing on his own inspiration for the story. But there was, I was saying, to get from that really dark, serious bit, the point that I was trying to make was that Kubrick was very faithful to the original text. But he did change a few little details that I think was for the best.
Okay.
So, in the actual original book, Alex is 15.
Okay.
So we jumped him up a few years.
Yes.
He's 15 at the start and he's 17 when he's out of prison. Whereas Kubrick jumped Alex up to 17 and then 19.
Or 35, as he looked.
He's at 28. He was 27 when he filmed it. Yeah, 28 when it was released. Yeah, he's a man. He's not a boy. But they did that as a deliberate thing, is because all these incredibly ultra-violent things that he was doing, that if it was a child doing it, it would have been even darker.
Oh, for sure. And copycats.
Wow, there was copycats. Yeah. So in the actual book, the girls that he picked up at in the music thing were actually 10 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. So they were 10 years old, and that wasn't consensual. He raped them and drugged them and got them drunk. Yeah. So that's in the book. But no, he was like, no, that's really. So
it was.
He said it was too distasteful and distracting for the film.
Yeah.
And also he wanted to show that Alex was doing these horrific things, but it wasn't because he couldn't pick women up. He was doing it as a choice. He could get women. He was an attractive young man.
Well, choices was, towards the end, choices became quite a big part of the film.
You have it's the whole devil thing that you've got freedom of, what's it called? What's it in a Devil Advocate? Free will. Free will's gonna get you.
What a film.
Devil's Advocate.
I love that film.
It's like, what's that one? So he changed that in it. I think, because you said about the copycats, there was maybe copycats from it. Why not children? I have a few stories to tell you.
Oh dear.
But first of all, I think we should go for a little light, upbeat break and take a little listen to our sponsors.
Our sponsors, plural. Let's listen to
We're
the same
our
people.
Own sponsors.
I've got a big question to ask you.
Oh.
After this short commercial break.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, just taking a break from the podcast just to tell you about something else that I do. As you can probably tell from the podcast, I love movies. Big film geek, big film fan. But I also love making things and miniature things. So I've combined the two, and I have made lots of miniature, tiny scale houses and buildings from famous movies. If that's something that you would be interested in looking at, I'd love you to go and have a look at them on Instagram at McCool Collectibles, or on Facebook. We've got loads of things on there, so like them, comment, send me a message if you like them, and also some of them are for sale.
Which ones are for sale?
The Ghostbusters Firehouse.
Excellent.
Psycho. And Up is on its way, the Up house.
Excellent. So where do you go to find out more?
That is on Instagram at McCool Collectibles.
And how do you spell McCool?
Oh, good question. That is MCKOOL.
Collectibles.
Go and check them out. Follow us. We love seeing new people.
Back to the podcast.
Bye. Well, thanks for that. If you do want to go and check out, head over to our Instagram page.
Things are going well.
They're going very well, yeah.
So,
what's this question?
Got a big question.
Woohoo!
What's the relevance of A Clockwork Orange?
Ooh, very good question. Okay, so what do you think?
I have no idea.
No.
I wanted a Silence of the Lambs style explanation. But even a throwaway sentence just to give
There
me
is in the book. They explain it in the book.
Right, okay.
For this, they don't explain it. So the Clockwork Orange is, if you break it down, it's an oxymoron, essentially. It is a mechanical fruit. So it is taking something that is really simple, it's natural, full of juice, right, full of life.
A human.
Alex.
Yeah.
And then breaking it.
Taking away choice.
Taking away choice from mechanism. It's turning it into a mechanical fruit. It's turning it into a clockwork orange.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So the two, basically, you can't, the two ideas, at first an oxymoron, they can't coexist peacefully. They'll constantly be butting up against each other. But it's also taking into the idea of the id. Do you know what an id is? So
hit me.
An id is, it's a Sigmund Freud theory, basically. And he says that you're made up of the three components. It's the ego, the superhero ego, and the id. Okay, it might not be superego, but I'll correct it if I'm wrong. But the id is basically, it's a personality component made up of the unconscious psychic energy that works to satisfy basic urges, needs, and desires. The id operates based on the pleasure principle, which demands immediate gratification of needs. So it's that like deep down lust, anger, greed, aggression that he believed, that Sigmund Freud believes is in all of us. It's that caveman instinct. But as we have developed as a society, that you
Yeah, you repress it.
Basically.
It is superego. It's
Yay!
ego superego.
That's not even written down. That's from psychology class. I remember that.
Wow.
That I got a D in.
Well done.
I was very good at the research side of it. Not so good at the writing side. Although this book, when I read this book, was perfect for me as a dyslexic person. It's written how I read. Written all over the place. But yeah, so the Clockwork Orange is basing on the segments, yeah, and if you that's a really good one, yeah, the different parts of the person, that if you break one part of yourself is your like subconscious desires, the id, is that actually going to take over, or is it going to be destroyed completely if you take away the freedom of someone?
That is fantastic.
Do you like that?
Love that.
Did I answer your big question?
That's and then some. Yeah. More big questions next time.
If you think of any more while you're doing this, I've probably got an answer, and if I've not, we'll cut it out. Actually, no, we won't cut it out because you're in charge of the editing. It'll just be like, I don't that one.
But like the Silence of the Lambs gave you
Yeah.
the reason for the title. Things like even something stupid like Catfish,
Yes.
where it's just a little monologue from a random guy. He tells you exactly why it's called, and it makes perfect sense. And
Do you want to tell the Catfish story just for people that don't know it, because it is amazing.
If you wait till the end, I'll tell you the Catfish story.
Oh yeah, I love the Catfish story. I've made people like go, wow, you're really deep, and it's like, it's not my words. It's whatever his name.
I spoke to
Neve. It's Neve from
Neve's
Catfish.
words. I spoke to someone the other day who hadn't seen Catfish, the film.
The film. Have you seen the TV show?
And they didn't understand why it was called Catfish.
Yeah.
So I was explaining it to him. As you know, he didn't ask me to.
You've got this information.
Stop walking away. No. Back here.
I know something that's really interesting that you will like.
And it is good. I mean, Clockwork Orange is just as satisfying as an explanation.
And I don't think it would have worked if they'd been on the nose as in Silence Lambs. That works fantastic for the progression of the story, that you know it. I don't think you need to know it. This is just
No, absolutely right.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because the amount of explanation that requires it would have just completely halted the film.
Yeah, and also it would have taken you out of it as you're in it with Alex. If someone goes, let me just explain to you what a Clockwork Orange. They never mention Clockwork Orange in it. There's not. Yeah. It's the concept of it.
Love it.
I'm happy you're happy with that. Yeah. So the copycats.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So a lot of people think, like I said before, that it was banned. It wasn't banned. Kubrick pulled it. But the reason why he pulled it was two main cases that had happened in 1973, so 2 years after that it had been released. The first one, really horrific, was the rape of a Dutch girl in Lancashire by a group of, I think, 4 men. And as they did it, they sang Singin' in the Rain as they were doing it. And the second one was a 16-year-old boy who brutally beat a younger child. And when he did it, he was wearing the Alex uniform. He had the white boiler suit, the bowler hat, and the big black combat boots. And
oh dear. This
was obviously in the press, and people picketed outside Kubrick's house, and he was like, yeah, fair enough, I'm gonna pull this from distributors. So you could still get it, and you could get it from abroad. It was only in UK that happened. They didn't ban it, they just stopped releasing it. Then in 2000, so he died in 1999, in 2000 they re-released it, which is when I saw it. Basically, yeah.
That does seem a bit off.
Yeah, a bit sympathetic. But that's when I watched it, because as we were saying, when I was trying to work out why I watched this film, so I watched it on VHS, and I watched it with my mum's 40th birthday in 2000, and my auntie bought her a copy of A Clockwork Orange for a birthday present. So that's why I was like, that's why I've got it. That's why I watched it. I did watch a lot of weird films with my mum. Watched The Exorcist and all the horror films that we will be watching later on in this
I've seen The Exorcist
podcast. You haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, though, have you?
I've not seen Night of the Living Dead.
About that. Nightmare on Elm Street and things like that.
No.
But I watched all them with my mum. Didn't watch Clockwork Orange.
No, that's
Save
good
this
decision.
little nugget for
Good
myself.
decision.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's it.
That's a noble thing for Kubrick to do.
Shall we do some casting
Yes.
alternatives? Woohoo!
Yes.
Casting alternatives.
We'll have to get a little jingle for that. Not that.
What's wrong with that?
not whatever that was.
Pissing on my chips. Made that up on the spot. Potentially the same as, because how my brain works is I tend to repeat myself. So I may have done that exact casting alternatives on all of them.
Oh, you gave it a little bit of jazz there.
Ooh, wow. It's just
Classic jazz line.
my flavour. So casting alternatives, not that many alternatives to the actual Alex role. I haven't really got anything for any of the other characters. But a big one was so originally Mick Jagger brought the rights to this, and he wanted the Rolling Stones to have their version of like the Beatles' A Hard Day's Night, is it? The Beatles film?
Yeah.
He wanted the Rolling Stones to have a film, and he wanted it to do the Clockwork Orange, and the Rolling Stones were going to play the Droogs, yeah. He bought it for $500 and put quite a lot of pre-production into doing it, and then they kind of.
That seems like a terrible idea.
I disagree. I think Mick Jagger.
I guess the Stones, would have got going up against what the Beatles were doing.
Yeah, I think the Mick Jagger could have played this.
No. I'm not saying he couldn't have done it. I'm saying just in terms of PR.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're the Rolling Stones. We're that gang of lads that raped that woman and paralysed that guy.
Yeah, so they didn't do it.
Yes.
But they did sell it onto...
For a profit?
Yeah, a big profit.
Nice.
They did sell it on. But before Kubrick was on board for it, Ken Russell was up to direct it, so he did Tommy.
The Who.
That. The Who, yeah.
Nice.
I love Tommy. He did Tommy a few years later. I think Tommy was 76 off the top of my head. Love Tommy. But so when Ken Russell was up for it, his style of directing was very similar to this. That very like psychedelic, hyper realism mixed with hyper unrealism. That's not a word, but you get what I mean. He wanted Oliver Reed to play Alex, which I would have I think Alex Reed would have been way too old for it. It would have gone a lot darker. He was 33 at the time. He'd just come off the back of I think it was Lady Lovers or something like that. I can't think what the thing is, but the film that he wrestles naked with the other guy, it's quite famous.
Oh, I've definitely seen that one.
I can't think. It's something like Lady Lovers or Lovers of Ladies or something like that.
Lady Killers?
Not Lady Killers. But yeah, Oliver Reed. And two other people that wrote for it, I think possibly the second one could be. Tim Curry was up for it. He was 25 years at the time. 25 years
I like
old
that.
at the time. Hadn't really done anything, but did a lot of theatre.
Women in Love is the film.
Women in Love, ladies in
And
love.
Tommy was 75. So close.
Oh,
so close.
So close. 1 year out.
I like that.
Yeah. So Tim Curry. The other one was Jeremy Irons. I think Jeremy Irons would have nailed this. He was 23, off the back of the theatre. But
both of them really
Kubrick
good.
wanted Malcolm to do it. The reason why he did want him, which I think Tim Curry and Jeremy Irons, they would have been in this sort of camp as well. They were classically trained. They were in the Royal Shakespeare Company, and I think that because of the language that is used in it, the Nadstat language, it did feel very Shakespearean, and I think you needed an actor that had that gravitas.
He was great, by the way.
He was
I haven't already said that.
It?
The journey he went on.
He'd been in another film, because he'd not really done that much, but he'd been in another film called If, which was in 1968, which is pretty much this character of a aggressive young boy, teenager, that went on sort of around hurting people. And Kubrick saw that and it was like, he'd be perfect for it. Other ones, not really. The only other one that I could find was Adrena Corey, who was Mrs. Alexander, the lady in Red. She was the second actress to play that role. They'd cast someone else that I haven't got the name for, sadly. They cast another actress to do it. She started filming with it and then just couldn't take the emotion that it was doing to do the rape scene, because it was 4 days they filmed that for, and she quit. So they got this actress in instead to do it, which I can get, because I think that
having to go through that repeatedly for 4 days.
Yeah. So like, I believe in I'm not an actor, but I believe that when a lot of directors, when they do these very traumatic scenes, they keep them a very small set. They try and get them done as quick as possible. They keep asking the actress, "Are you okay?" I think that Kubrick's kind of missing that part of his
very sympathetic
side of him, and he just sees it as it's your job. That's what you're doing, and he doesn't torture people. He's not sadistic in any way, but he also doesn't like mollycoddle people.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think Ken Russell, I think it would have been slightly more dated. Tommy, have you seen Tommy?
I've not seen Tommy.
Really, really good, but yeah, it's very much of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great Elton John cameo in it.
Very good.
Doing Pinball Wizard. It's brilliant. He's got massive, massive boots.
Fantastic.
Ever since I was a young boy, I've been a young boy.
So have you got a bit more trivia for us?
Yeah, so now this is the, if you've listened to the other podcast, we're starting to wrap up now. So
miscellaneous trivia
that, I've not managed to sort of get in while you've been asking me questions. So I'm just going to throw it at you. So it's going to be very random and
quick fire trivia.
So the first cut of this was 4 hours long.
Okay. I'm not watching that film.
No, they never made it. That was the first cut of it. Any unused footage, Kubrick had it destroyed. He was like, "This is my film. This is what it looks like. Don't mess with it."
Good.
Cutting it out.
Love it.
Yeah. The milk bar scene, which is the sets in it, the sculptures in it of the milk dispensing ladies, are an English sculptor based on. Alan Jones, his name is. He didn't do these ones, but he did sculptures of supermodels, scantily clad as furniture, so they'd be on all fours and the table on the back and things like that. And the milk in the actual dispensers, because it was under studio lights, that was a set.
Oh God!
It curdled, so they had to change the pipes, to clean the pipes, and redo the milk every hour. Yeah.
Oh no.
I do think as well that, I don't know if you got this, that the milk, that they draw a lot of emphasis on the milk being the milk plus, and I think that is another sort of nod to the title of mixing something that's very natural. Of milk coming from a woman's breast, and it's been mixed with a chemical to make it unnatural.
Nice.
And to change things.
Yeah, from the start. Yeah. No, you're right.
When I was watching it, I was just like, I think that's another little knob. Oh, I've got one for you. Did you notice who the bodybuilder was?
I didn't. No, go on.
So, that was...
Dave Price.
Yeah!
Incredible.
It was a Green Cross man. Also known as his other slight work as the body of Darth Vader.
That's cool.
That was him. And he apparently quoted, he said to Kubrick, So the scene that he comes in and he's carrying him down the 2 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
So the guy weighed like 200 pounds. The wheelchair weighed like 50 pounds, and he had to carry it down multiple times. And he said to Kubrick, he was like, "You're not exactly known as one take Kubrick. How many times am I gonna have to do this?" And he laughed. Apparently, the set just went silent because they were like, "Shit, how's he gonna write?" Kubrick laughed at it, and I was like, "Oh no, it's okay." And he only made him do it 6 times.
Oh, nice.
So he did, which by Kubrick standards is not many times. 6 times is nothing.
That is crazy. Now you've said that, he did have a Vader about him.
He was hench.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like the way he carried himself.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually.
Yeah. Now you said that.
Yeah.
I really want to see that again.
This is before, so.
Yeah, this is what, 6 years before.
Yeah, it was 77.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was him.
That's very cool.
So this is one of 2 X-rated films, original X-rated, should I say. It did get a 18 certificate when it was re-released, but the original one was X-rated, to be nominated for Best Picture at Oscar. Didn't win any Oscars. Got nominated for 4, but didn't win any.
What was it up against?
I don't know. In
You've spent hours doing this research.
I
The
know.
least you could do is memorize all the Oscar categories.
well, it got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adaptation, Screenplay, and Best Film Editing.
Okay, what year was this?
71.
1971.
The other film that was the X-rated that didn't that like got the best picture nod was Midnight Cowboy. Have you seen Midnight Cowboy?
Of course, I've seen it. No, I haven't.
I think that'll be on. We'll watch that at some point. That's really dark.
These are just. So I'm just looking at the list of the winners of the Oscars in 1971.
To see who won.
Francis Ford Coppola, Best Screenplay.
Oh.
And
was it Godfather? Was Godfather 71?
So Best Picture was Patton.
Vietnam.
Literally never heard of that film before. George C. Scott was Best Actor for Patton. Never heard of him. Glenda Jackson, Women in Love.
Hey!
Hey, the aforementioned.
Oh, Oliver Reed got something then. Not him directly.
No. Francis Ford Coppola for Patton.
Okay.
So he and then
Patton cleaned up.
Patton was Loving Life in 1971. Never heard of it. And the rest of them, never really heard of them. So strong competition for Mr. Kubrick.
Well, some other random trivia. Moving on from the film that neither of us have seen. So, ironically, saying is that it's or Beethoven. Not actually that much Beethoven used in it. It's all another composer, Rossellini. He did the sex scene, the sped up sex scene, the William Tell.
Nice.
Well,
I enjoyed the Land of Hope and Glory.
Yes, that
was
fun.
very well used in the context.
He didn't write that. The slow mo fight scene when they're walking down and he kicks and hits and all that lot. And the cat lady invasion and the suicide scene. None of that's Beethoven. That's all Rossellini. Different director, different composer. Okay, last one. Well, actually, no, penultimate one. The car that is used in the thing, that's called a Adams probe. It was only 83 centimeters high. So
hence, it could go under a truck.
Under the truck, and there's only like a few of them that were made super like sporty car.
And that was presumably again to throw the audience off the scent.
Yes, that was a real car, but you wouldn't see it driving around. And also I think to sort of what is this world that they're in? That that when you see where he's living and it's the lift's broken and there's all rubbish everywhere and it walks across it and everywhere's all full of rubbish, and then you've got these supercars as well.
Yeah,
that's not his car. He's clearly nicked that car.
What?
He stole something. Other one is the costume that he's wearing with the cup, the cod piece. So that was actually Malcolm McDowell came to the fitting wearing his cricket he was in a cricket team.
His cup.
And he came in his cricket outfit. And they said, oh, I like that. He had the cup on. So like, we'll incorporate that. And he went to put his trousers over the top. Like, no. Trousers on, then put the cup on.
That's good, because him taking it off in the rape scene.
Yeah.
Was actually kind of like, it's quite dramatic.
Oh yeah, because you don't see it. Although the end, I think one of the worst scenes is actually the very very end when he's out and they've allowed him to sort of to join in society, but he can't it's like break out of the confined spaces. Then you've got those like Victorian dressed women and men and women all around him, and he's having sex with that woman in the snow. Clearly she doesn't want to be there. She's fighting to get away from him, and she's on top, and she's actually like, he's holding on to her, and she's pouring like trying to get away, and they're just stood around watching. And it's like they're letting him do the horrible things within a parameter. Sort of
was that not his imagination then?
Oh, maybe. I took it as that.
I thought that was his imagination.
Oh no, I took it as that was, when they all run in with the cameras, of like that was going to be his reward, because he said like, we are friends, we'll work with each other. I thought that was that.
No, that works.
He was able to do these evil things, but he had to pay the price of being watched or whatever with it. That's what I thought.
All right. Well, interpretation.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing, it's not so much trivia, it's just something that I noticed, that the use of sound in this and whose sound you hear is that you'd never really hear the victims at the start in the first act. You never hear them really cry or moan, and that, like when he's beating the tramp up, he's talking at the start and saying, this is what's happened, the breakdown of society. Once they start beating him up, you can't hear him. You can just hear them. Which is you're viewing it through Alex's eyes, so he doesn't sort of like, care about that. No, he doesn't care, so he's not bothered. He's making all the thing. And then in the rape scene at the Alexandra's house, you can hear them, but their moans are in time with the dance number. So when he's like kicking him when he's on the floor, and he's like, when the storm comes, and it's in the song, and it's distracting you from what you're seeing. And I think it's a bit like a coping mechanism that Kubrick used in it, that he used the language, the different changing of the pace, the slow motion, the narration doesn't match what is actually happening, so you're seeing the tone of what he's saying. And it's like your poor narrator that's had all this horrible
humble storyteller,
and it's like, we're watching it happen, mate. This isn't what's happening. But I think you're with it with Alex, but you're viewing what's happening, and you have to make up your own mind from it. But yeah, absolutely. So in conclusion, you hated it.
I hated it. No, I loved it. I loved it. I really did, and I think that's totally justified. I've spent 30 years of my life having not seen this film, and I really wish I'd seen it earlier, genuinely. And
did you wish? Because I watched this when I was like 17, and it made me go, and I think I said on the last one, it made me go and get the book out of the library. I went and found the source material of this because I wanted to know more about it. And
part of my worry was that there wouldn't be much substance to it, but actually there was an incredible amount of substance, and the violence in it was a means to an end, in a way, to tell the story. And no, I thought it was fantastic. Yeah,
there's been so many other films that I've seen where it's been a similar subject matter in it, with the abuse and the rape and the murder, and it's been gratuitous. It's not needed. I think this was everything you saw was needed. Yeah. To tell the story. I think it's done so well. I love it.
Definitely. No, I loved it. Did you enjoy watching it again?
I really did. Yeah, I really did. And I think watching it older as well, is that with a lot of these films, that it's a different perspective. Not quite at the age of the parents, although I was watching it, and like with these parents were so sort of taken out of the situation. They were so checked out of looking after their son. And they're like, we've got a little boy, and they're thinking, how can you just let your kid just go and do this sort of stuff and not really care? I think that was an interesting sort of
new angle
to take on it.
So what are we going to watch next? I don't know either.
I was like, I don't know, we haven't talked about it.
We talked about Titanic.
Oh!
No, because I've not seen Titanic. That's quite bad, isn't it?
You need to pick songs that I'm not going to sing the songs. For the audience sake. Dear God, stop making us sing.
So we could watch Titanic.
Yes, I'd love to watch Titanic.
Should we watch Titanic?
Yeah!
Yeah, let's do Titanic next, because I should have seen that by now.
Yes.
Come on. I'm probably the only person not to have seen Titanic.
I think you'll like it.
I hope so. I like DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. Big DiCaprio head. Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe have to be an over 2-night watching.
Yeah, it's long, right?
It's long. It's like 3 hours.
That's why I've not seen it. I'm not into these long films. I want 20-minute sitcoms.
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't see this at the cinema, but my mum and my sister went to see it at the cinema, and me and my dad went to see Flubber at the same time.
That's
I was a lot younger.
That's more my speed.
And we went to see Flubber.
Flubber!
It's Flubber! And they went to McDonald's and then came back and they still hadn't finished. And it was like, okay, this is a long film.
Can we watch Flubber again?
Oh, Flubber, you've seen Flubber.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the point of the podcast. You've not seen him.
How much do you think we'd get out of Flubber? Talking about Flubber.
Oh, I could string it out for an hour. A lot of trivia. I would just basically go into talking about the awesome
Robin
Williams.
Yes, I haven't seen that. I know what you're going to say. Dead Poets Society.
Captain, my captain! That's a quote from it.
Yeah.
Imagine me stood on a desk while saying this. Captain, my captain! Yes, so we're not watching that next. We will watch that at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll watch Titanic next.
Yes!
We'll see you for that. Mm-hmm. Sounds like Titanic outside.
I know, yeah, you can hear that.
You probably can't hear it, but
we're sat in the conservatory because we're literally furthest end of the house away from where our son sleeps. And it's quite nice in here.
It's quite nice, and now it's raining, so it's a good time to depart.
Yes.
We hope you've enjoyed this. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we're loving people that...
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so what we're thinking of doing, because we're getting more people sending us messages and things, that if you want a question answered on the pod, just send us Instagram message, direct message, comment or whatever, and we'll try and maybe answer it on air.
Yeah, on air.
On air.
Con Air.
Have you seen that?
No.
What? No! Oh my God, I was saying that like you've not seen Con Air.
I've not seen Con Air.
Shut up.
No,
Shut up.
I've not seen
Not
it.
a Mean Girl throwback. Oh no.
Yeah.
Titanic Con Air.
We could do Con Air first. That's Nick Cage, right?
Put the bunny back in the box. Okay, right. We'll decide and let you know.
We'll do both.
Let us know. Say which one you want to...
Titanic or Con Air.
Yeah, tell us which one you want to...
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There we go.
Interaction, guys.
Woohoo!
But we'd love to hear from you. Instagram at How Have You Not Seen.
Yep.
Twitter at Not Seen Podcast.
Go Andy. Sorry.
Interrupt me. The website is howhaveyounnotseen.com. What else we got? What else can you contact us on?
My phone number is...
And a review on iTunes would be extremely helpful.
Yes.
We've had a couple of reviews, which is very nice. Mm-hmm. Just any feedback at all.
Pick your favourite.
Pick your favourite. Yeah, so, right, the two questions we've got for you. Andy or Hayley?
Yeah.
Titanic or Aircon? Con Air. No, we hope you've enjoyed this. I've certainly enjoyed watching this film, and you have too.
So much.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.